You know that feeling when you're explaining the same thing over and over again to your AI assistant, wishing it could just remember? Well, what if you could teach it new tricks permanently? What if your AI assistant was less of a chatbot and more of a powerful toolkit that you build yourself? That's exactly what we're going to dive into today with Claude's new skills feature.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll break down what skills actually are. Then, we're going to roll up our sleeves and build one from scratch. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of configuring them for total control, explore some seriously cool advanced patterns, and finally, we'll see how you can even get them to create some amazing visual outputs.
All right, so first things first. What exactly are skills? Honestly, the best way to think about them is like custom recipes you create for Claude. They're the building blocks you use to craft a smarter, more personalized assistant by teaching it new things it can do again and again. At its heart, a skill is incredibly simple. It's just a Markdown file. Yep, that's it. A plain text file named SKILL.md. You write your instructions in there, you put it in the right folder, and boom, you've just taught Claude a new trick. It immediately adds that skill to its little toolkit, ready to go whenever it's needed. Now, if you've been using Claude for a while, you might be thinking, hey, isn't this just like the custom /commands? And kinda, but skills are the next level evolution. This is so much more than just a list of instructions. Skills let you bundle supporting files, they give you precise control over when and how they're used, and, this is the big one, they allow Claude to discover and use them automatically. It's a huge leap forward. Look, the best way to really understand the power here is to just build one. So, enough talk, let's get our hands dirty and create our very first skill together right now, step by step. And it's a super straightforward three-step process. 1, we create a folder for our skill. 2, we write the instruction file, and 3, we test it out. That's it. Let's walk through each one. First up, we need to create the directory. Now, this path is actually really important. By putting our explain code skill inside the /tilde/claude/skills/folder, we're making it a personal skill. This means it's not locked to a single project. It's going to be available to you everywhere in any project you're working on. Okay, next up, we create the SKILL.md file itself. You see that block at the top between the triple dashes? That's called YAML frontmatter. Just think of it as the skills control panel. The name becomes the /command, so /explain code. And the description, this part is absolutely critical. It's the little note that helps Claude figure out when to use this skill on its own. Below that, it's just plain Markdown with the exact steps we want Claude to follow every time. And finally, we get to test it. This is where you see the real magic of that description field. You can just ask a totally natural question like, how does this code work? And Claude is smart enough to recognize that our new skill is the perfect tool for the job. Or you can just take the wheel and call it directly with /explain code and a file path. You get the best of both worlds. So, we've built a basic skill. That's awesome, and it's already super useful. But the real magic begins when we start to customize its behavior. So let's dive back into that front matter and see how we can fine-tune exactly how our skills work.
So we've already seen name and description, but there are a few other powerful options here. For example, you can totally prevent Claude from ever using a skill on its own with disable model invocation. Or you can run a skill in a completely isolated environment using context fork. These settings give you incredibly precise control.
It really all comes down to controlling who gets to run the skill. If you set disable model invocation to true, that means only you can trigger it. This is essential for skills that have real-world consequences, like a /deploy skill. You really don't want the AI deciding to deploy to production on a whim, right? On the flip side, user invocable false is perfect for background knowledge, like an internal style guide that Claude should know about, but you'd never actually run as a direct command. Okay, we've covered the basics, we've covered configuration, now let's get into the really fun stuff. Let's explore some advanced patterns that unlock a whole new level of automation, starting with how to inject live, dynamic data right into your skills. This is an absolute game changer. That little exclamation mark prefix tells the system to run a shell command before the prompt even gets sent to Claude. The output of that command, in this case a GitHub pull request diff, gets automatically injected right into the prompt. This means you can pull in live data and have Claude work with the most up-to-the-minute information possible. It's amazing. Another incredibly powerful feature is setting the context to fork. What this does is it tells Claude to run the skill in a completely fresh, isolated environment. We call it a subagent.
It has no memory of your main conversation. This is perfect for complex, multi-step tasks where you really need a clean slate to guarantee a focused and reliable result.
And here's a perfect example, a deep research skill. By setting context, fork, and agent explore, we're essentially saying, hey Claude, spin up a brand new, specialized agent that's optimized for exploring a codebase and give it this specific set of instructions. The results of that isolated research task are then just passed neatly back to our main chat. It's so clean.
So far, everything has been text in, text out. But what if skills could do more? Well, they can. By bundling and executing external scripts, they can produce rich, visual outputs that go way beyond what a language model can create on its own. So let me ask you a question. What if a skill could create a complete, interactive, visual report of your entire code base? It sounds like something that would require a ton of complex prompt engineering, right? While the skill itself is surprisingly simple, this code-based visualizer skill really only does two things. It gives Claude permission to use Python, and then it tells it to execute a specific Python script that's bundled right alongside it. The skill is just the orchestrator, the bundled script is doing all the heavy lifting.
And here's just a quick peek at that script. Now, you don't need to be a Python expert or understand every single line here. The crucial point is that all the complex logic, scanning the directory, calculating file sizes, generating the HTML, is all handled by this traditional code, which lives right next to the skill's simple Markdown instructions.
And the result of running that one simple skill? An interactive HTML file that opens right up in your browser, giving you this beautiful, collapsible map of your entire project. You can explore the file structure, see relative sizes, and really understand your code's layout visually, all from a single, simple command.
So we've seen how to teach Claude to explain code, to run isolated research tasks, and even generate complex visual reports. From simple little productivity hacks to really sophisticated automations, skills fundamentally transform Claude from a chatbot into a truly programmable platform. The possibilities are just vast. So the only question left is, what will you teach Claude